Bali, the island of gods, white sand beaches and endless sunsets. For most, it's paradise. But for one Dubai couple in July 2019, it became the setting of a nightmare no one saw coming. He was a successful investment consultant. She was a rising marketing director. To the world, they had it all: luxury, status, the perfect life in the Emirates. But perfection is often just an illusion. Behind the Instagram photos and champagne toasts, something deadly was taking shape. What really happened inside that private villa on the night of July 14th, and could she have seen it coming? You are about to find out. Welcome to True Crime Journal HQ. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily update on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Before we start, if you want to learn how to protect yourself from potential danger, then download your free ebook titled Safety for Women Over 40 Everyday Habits to Outsmart Criminals by clicking the link in the pinned comment. Samir al-Hashimi was born in 1981 in Dubai, long before the city transformed into the glittering metropolis it is today. His family was comfortable but not wealthy. His father worked as a mid-level manager at a government entity. His mother was a schoolteacher. They lived in a modest villa in Al-Barsha, and young Samir grew up watching the city explode around him. Skyscrapers shot up overnight. Ferraris replaced Toyota Corollas. Overnight, millionaires became the new normal. From an early age, Samir knew exactly what he wanted: to be part of that world. Not on the sidelines, right in the center of it. He was bright, focused, and driven. At school, he excelled in mathematics and economics, always talking about investments and business ventures. His teachers remembered him as polite but intensely competitive. He hated losing. Whether it was a classroom debate or a football match, coming second wasn't an option. After finishing high school, Samir enrolled at the American University of Dubai, studying finance. He graduated with honors in 2003, determined to break into the financial sector. But the road wasn't easy. His first job was as a junior analyst at a small investment firm in Dera, far from the gleaming towers of DIFC he dreamed about. The pay was average, the work repetitive, but Samir was patient. He watched, he learned, he networked. By 2008, he landed a position at a more reputable firm in the financial district. This was his breakthrough. Samir wasn't just good at his job, he was exceptional. He had a gift for reading markets, for knowing when to push clients toward aggressive portfolios. He made people money, and in Dubai, that's all that mattered. Within 5 years, he became an investment consultant, managing high-net-worth accounts. The commissions were massive, but success came with a price. Dubai is a city that never sleeps, and it never stops comparing. Your car, your apartment, your watch, your vacation, everything is a statement. Samir felt the weight of it constantly. He upgraded from a Nissan to a BMW, then to a Mercedes. He moved from a studio in Sports City to a 2-bedroom in Business Bay, then finally to a penthouse in Dubai Marina. Every step up felt necessary, not optional. The problem? His income couldn't always keep pace with his lifestyle. So Samir started taking shortcuts, small risks at first, moving client funds between accounts to cover temporary gaps, timing withdrawals just right. He told himself it was temporary, that he'd fix it before anyone noticed. But the gaps kept growing. The risks got bolder. By early 2019, Samir wasn't just bending the rules, he was breaking them, and the walls were closing in. But Samir's ambitions would soon lead him down a dangerous path. Farida Hassan came from a different world than Samir. Born in 1985 to an established Emirati family in Jumeirah, she grew up with privileges many could only dream of. Her father owned a successful trading company that had been in the family for 3 generations. Her mother was a respected figure in Dubai's social circles, known for her charity work and elegance. But Farida was never the type to coast on her family name. From childhood, she was determined to build something of her own. She studied hard, graduated from Zayed University with a degree in marketing and communications, and immediately threw herself into her career. Her first role was at a boutique advertising agency in Dubai Media City. The hours were long, the deadlines brutal, but Farida thrived under pressure. Her colleagues admired her work ethic. She was meticulous, always double-checking campaigns before they went live, always thinking 3 steps ahead. Clients trusted her because she delivered results. By 2012, she'd moved to a major hospitality group, handling marketing for luxury hotels across the Emirates. She was only 27, but already making a name for herself. Then came the night that changed everything. It was October 2014 at a networking event on a rooftop lounge in DIFC. The city lights stretched out below, music played softly, and professionals mingled with cocktails in hand. Farida was there with colleagues when Samir approached her. He was charming, confident, well-dressed. They talked about work, about Dubai's growth, about their ambitions. The conversation flowed easily. By the end of the night, they'd exchanged numbers. Have you ever met a couple that seemed too perfect? What was your gut feeling about them? Their romance moved fast. Samir knew how to sweep someone off their feet. Surprise dinner reservations at Pirchik, weekend trips to Abu Dhabi, thoughtful gifts that showed he was paying attention. Farida's friends were thrilled for her. He seemed like the complete package, successful, ambitious, handsome, and deeply interested in her. In December 2016, they married in a lavish ceremony at Atlantis the Palm. Over 300 guests attended. The ballroom was draped in white orchids and gold accents. Farida wore a custom gown that took 6 months to design. It was the wedding everyone talked about for months. Life after marriage looked perfect from the outside. Brunches at La Petite Maison, summer holidays in the Maldives, Friday brunches at luxury beach clubs. They posted photos constantly, smiling, holding hands, living the dream. Friends envied them. Family members held them up as relationship goals. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. But as we'll soon discover, the cracks were already forming. By late 2018, the golden life Samir and Farida had built was showing its first fractures. It started small. Farida noticed a payment had bounced for their marina penthouse maintenance fees. Strange, she thought. Samir handled their finances, and money had never been an issue. When she asked him about it, he brushed it off. "Just a bank error, Habibi. I'll sort it out." But then it happened again, and again. In January 2019, Farida logged into their joint account to transfer money for a friend's gift. Her stomach dropped. The balance was almost empty. They should have had over AED 80,000 sitting there. Where had it gone? That evening she confronted Samir. His explanation was vague. Something about moving funds for a better investment opportunity, something about waiting for returns. He promised the money would be back within weeks. Farida wanted to believe him, but doubt had planted itself in her mind. The argument started quietly at first. Tense conversations in the kitchen after work. But as weeks passed, they grew louder. Neighbors in their building later told investigators they'd occasionally heard raised voices coming from the Al-Hashimi apartment. Unusual for a couple who always seemed so composed in public, the pressure was mounting from every direction. The penthouse rent alone was AED 180,000 a year. Samir's Mercedes lease was AED 6,000 monthly. Then there were the brunches, the gym memberships, the designer shopping trips, the holidays everyone expected them to take. In Dubai, downgrading isn't just a financial decision, it's a social statement, and Samir couldn't bear that. What Farida didn't know was that Samir's problems went far deeper than a few missed payments. His risky moves with client portfolios had finally caught up with him. Thousands, then hundreds of thousands, of dirhams had vanished into bad investments he'd made trying to recover earlier losses. He'd been shuffling money between accounts like a desperate card dealer, always one step ahead of discovery. Until he wasn't. In March 2019, his firm scheduled an internal audit for late July. Samir knew exactly what that meant. They'd find everything. The missing funds, the unauthorized trades, the forged documents. He'd lose his job, face criminal charges, possibly prison. Everything he'd built would collapse. He needed a way out, a permanent solution. What Farida didn't know was that her husband had already made a decision. one that would cost her everything. In April 2019, Samir walked into an insurance office in Business Bay with a plan already fully formed in his mind. He told the agent he wanted life insurance for both himself and Farida. "We're getting older, you know. Need to be responsible," he said with that charming smile everyone trusted. The agent nodded approvingly. It seemed like smart financial planning from a successful couple. But there was a twist. The policy on Farida was massive, AED 3.5 million. Samir's own policy? Barely a fraction of that. He crafted the paperwork carefully, forging Farida's signature on documents she never saw. She had no idea this policy existed. And the sole beneficiary, Samir al-Hashimi. Around the same time, Samir's internet activity took a dark turn. He started using VPNs to mask his location. His browser history, later recovered by investigators, showed searches that would chill anyone. Untraceable methods, how to make it look accidental, hiring help overseas. He accessed encrypted messaging apps, reaching out to contacts on dark web forums that specialized in connecting people who needed services. He wasn't panicking anymore. He was planning. Every night, while Farida slept beside him, Samir sat in their living room staring at his laptop screen, researching, calculating, preparing. The internal audit was scheduled for late July. He had 3 months to execute his plan. If you noticed unusual financial activity from your spouse, would you confront them immediately or investigate quietly first? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. 3 months to make his wife disappear and collect AED 3.5 million in the process. In early June 2019, Samir came home with an unexpected suggestion. "Habibi, we need to talk," he said, sitting down beside Farida on their living room sofa. "I know things have been rough between us lately. The stress, the arguments, it's not us. We're better than this." Farida looked at him, exhausted from months of tension. "I've been thinking," Samir continued. "Let's go away, just the two of us. Somewhere beautiful, somewhere we can reconnect. Bali, maybe. We've always talked about going." Farida hesitated. Part of her wanted to believe this could fix things. Another part whispered warnings she couldn't quite articulate. But she loved him. Or at least, she loved who she thought he was. Maybe distance from Dubai's relentless pace would help them remember why they fell in love in the first place. "Okay," she finally said, "let's do it." Samir's smile was immediate. "I'll handle everything. You just pack your bags." Within days, he'd booked a stunning private villa in Seminyak. Ocean views, infinity pool, complete privacy. He chose it specifically. Isolated, minimal staff, no security cameras inside the property. To Farida, it looked romantic. To Samir, it looked perfect. When they announced the trip on social media, friends flooded the comments with excitement. "You two deserve this," wrote one. "Relationship goals, mashallah," commented another. Even Farida's mother called, thrilled they were taking time to work on their marriage. On July 11th, they boarded Emirates flight EK398 from Dubai International. Farida posted a photo from their business class seats, champagne glasses raised, smiles bright. The caption read, "New adventures with my favorite person." It would be her last post. 7 hours later, the plane descended through tropical clouds toward Ngurah Rai International Airport. Farida gazed out the window at the lush green landscape below, hopeful this trip might save what they'd built together. As the plane touched down in Bali, Farida had no idea she'd booked a one-way ticket to her own grave. The villa was everything the photos promised, sprawling, modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Indian Ocean. A private infinity pool seemed to blend into the horizon. Palm trees swayed gently in the breeze. It was the kind of place people saved for years to experience. Their first day felt almost normal. They unpacked, explored the villa, took photos by the pool. That evening, Samir suggested visiting Tanah Lot for sunset, one of Bali's most famous temples perched on a rock formation in the sea. They stood together as the sun melted into orange and pink, and Farida allowed herself to hope. Maybe this would work. Maybe they could find their way back. Samir posted the photo. Paradise with my queen. The likes poured in within minutes. That night they had dinner at Motel Mexicola in Seminyak. Colorful decor, loud music, strong margaritas. They laughed, they talked, they looked like any other couple on holiday. But Farida noticed something. Samir kept checking his phone, typing messages, then deleting them, switching apps quickly whenever she glanced over. "Who are you texting?" she asked. "Just work stuff, Habibi. Nothing important." But his jaw was tight. His smile didn't reach his eyes. That night, alone in the villa bathroom, Farida pulled out the small journal she always traveled with. She wrote, "Day 1 in Bali. The place is beautiful, but he seems distracted. Always on his phone. I hope we can really talk soon. I need answers about the money. About us." Day 2 followed a similar pattern. They booked a couple's massage at a luxury spa. More photos, more performance. Farida tried to relax under the masseuse's hands, but her mind wouldn't stop racing. That evening, back at the villa, she decided to push the conversation. "Samir, we need to talk, really talk, about the missing money, about what's been happening." His expression shifted. The warmth drained from his face. "Can we not do this here?" he said, voice cold. "We're supposed to be relaxing." "That's exactly why we need to do this here. Away from everything. Just us." The tension between them was thick now, undeniable. Have you ever been on a trip where something just felt off? Trust your instincts, Walla. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. What happened next would shatter everything. July 14th, 2019. The night everything ended. 9 p.m. Samir and Farida returned to the villa after dinner at a beachfront restaurant in Canggu. The villa manager saw them walk in, exchanged pleasantries. They seemed fine, tired perhaps, but fine. The manager wished them a good night and left the property. They were alone now, completely alone. 10:30 p.m. A couple staying in the neighboring villa would later tell police they heard raised voices. A woman's voice, sharp with frustration. A man's voice, lower but intense. The argument lasted roughly 20 minutes, then went quiet. Too quiet. 11:47 p.m. The villa's external security camera, the only one on the property positioned at the main gate, captured Samir leaving on foot. He wore dark clothing, a baseball cap pulled low. He looked left and right before stepping out onto the quiet street. He was alone. Where was Farida? Samir walked 3 blocks to a 24-hour convenience store, then continued to a more isolated area near a construction site. Security footage from nearby businesses showed him meeting someone briefly. A local man, never identified. Money changed hands. So did a small black bag. 1:15 a.m. Samir returned to the villa, the bag now in his possession. The camera caught him glancing up at the lens before entering. Did he know it was recording? Did he care anymore? Between 1:15 a.m. and 4 a.m., what happened during these hours would later be reconstructed through forensic evidence, and the details are horrifying. Farida was already unconscious when Samir returned. Investigators believe he'd drugged her drink earlier that evening. She never had a chance to fight back, never had a chance to scream for help. What followed wasn't a crime of passion, some heated argument that went too far. This was execution, cold, calculated, methodical. The bag contained gloves, industrial cleaning supplies, and tools. Samir had planned every detail. He tried to stage the scene to look like a break-in gone wrong, knocked over furniture, forced open a window from the outside. But staging a crime scene is harder than it looks in movies. He scrubbed surfaces, disposed of evidence in multiple locations, and changed his clothes. By 4 a.m. he'd finished. He sat on the villa's terrace, smoking a cigarette, staring at the ocean as the sky began to lighten. Farida Hassan, beloved daughter, accomplished professional, someone's best friend, was gone, and the man who'd promised to love and protect her had become her killer. But here's the thing about murder. It's nearly impossible to erase every trace. Forensic science has come a long way, and criminals, even careful ones, always leave something behind. Samir made one critical mistake that would expose everything. July 15th, 9:00 a.m. The housekeeper, a woman named Wayan, arrived at the villa for her scheduled cleaning service. She knocked on the front door. No answer. She knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. Using her master key, she entered, calling out a friendly greeting in broken English. The villa was eerily silent. As she walked through the living area, she noticed things felt wrong. Furniture slightly out of place, a window open that shouldn't be. Her instincts screamed at her to leave, but she continued toward the master bedroom. That's when she saw it. The master bathroom door was ajar. What lay inside would haunt her for the rest of her life. Wayan screamed, dropped her cleaning supplies, and ran from the villa, dialing the police with shaking hands. Within 15 minutes, Indonesian police arrived at the scene. What they found confirmed the worst. Farida's body was in the bathroom, and the violence was undeniable. This was murder, no question about it. But where was Samir? Officers searched every room. His clothes were gone, his passport was missing, his phone was switched off, untraceable. The villa staff were called in for questioning. They were in complete shock. "They seemed like such a lovely couple," the villa manager told police, bewildered. "Always smiling, always polite. I never would have imagined." By noon, news had reached Dubai. Farida's family received the call every parent dreads. Her mother collapsed. Her father couldn't speak, couldn't process what he was hearing. Friends frantically called each other, checking if it was true, praying it was some terrible mistake. Social media erupted. The same people who'd commented relationship goals on their photos just days ago were now posting tributes, sharing memories, demanding justice. The expatriate community was in shock. How could this happen? How could someone they knew, someone they'd had brunch with, be capable of this? What would you think if you heard this about someone you knew? Sometimes we truly don't know the people closest to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. The manhunt had begun. The Indonesian police moved quickly, and within hours, Interpol was involved. This wasn't just a local crime, it was an international case involving UAE nationals, and time was critical. Investigators immediately seized Samir's phone records. What they found was damning. In the weeks leading up to the Bali trip, Samir had been communicating through encrypted apps with someone local, a facilitator, a fixer who operated in the shadows of Bali's underground economy. This person provided tools for the right price, no questions asked. Phone triangulation data placed Samir near a construction site on the night of July 14th, the exact location where the exchange happened. The local contact was eventually identified, but had already disappeared. He knew how this game worked. Meanwhile, Dubai authorities were conducting their own investigation. They subpoenaed Samir's banking records, and what emerged was staggering. Over AED 2.3 million had been misappropriated from client accounts over an 18-month period. Samir had been moving money in complex patterns, creating false investment reports, forging documents to cover his tracks. It was a house of cards that was always going to collapse. Then came the insurance policy discovery. AED 3.5 million on Farida's life, taken out just 3 months before the trip. Forged signature, sole beneficiary, Samir al-Hashimi. The motive became crystal clear. This wasn't about love gone wrong, this was about money, desperation, and cold calculation. The internal audit documents told the final piece of the story. Samir's firm had scheduled a comprehensive review for July 22, 2019, just 1 week after they were supposed to return from Bali. He knew he was out of time. He knew everything would be exposed. Farida's death was his escape plan. Back in Dubai, investigators interviewed Farida's best friend, a woman named Hessa, who'd known her since university. Through tears, Hessa told them, "She called me 2 weeks before the trip. She said something felt wrong, that Samir was acting strange, that money was missing, but she never imagined, none of us imagined he could do this. She just wanted answers. She wanted to fix their marriage." The timeline reconstruction was chilling. Samir had been planning this for at least 8 weeks. The insurance policy in April, the dark web research in May, the villa booking in June, specifically choosing one with privacy and minimal security. Every step was deliberate. This wasn't a moment of rage, this was premeditated murder. While police were piecing this together, Samir was already 200 kilometers away, executing part 2 of his plan. Samir thought he could disappear. He was wrong. Within hours of the discovery, he'd taken a taxi from Seminyak to Padang Bai port, a 3-hour drive along Bali's coastal roads. He kept his head down, sunglasses on, barely speaking to the driver. At the port, he boarded a public ferry to Lombok, blending in with backpackers and local travelers. But Samir al-Hashimi, the polished investment consultant from Dubai Marina, no longer existed. He'd shaved his head completely. The beard he'd maintained for years was gone. He wore cheap clothes bought from a market stall, faded t-shirt, worn shorts, flip-flops. He checked into a budget hotel in Mataram under a fake name, paying cash, avoiding eye contact with staff. He thought he'd bought himself time, maybe even a way out. What Samir didn't account for was technology. Modern facial recognition systems don't care about shaved heads or new clothes. The bone structure, the distance between eyes, the shape of the jaw, these things don't change. And Indonesia's airports had been upgraded with cutting-edge biometric systems just months earlier. When Samir tried to book a flight out of Lombok's international airport, the system flagged him instantly. Then again at the ferry terminal, when he attempted a return to Bali. Every exit point lit up red. Indonesian authorities had him cornered on the island. July 19th, 5:30 a.m. A tactical team surrounded the budget hotel where Samir was hiding. They moved quietly, efficiently. The hotel owner had been alerted hours earlier, but told to act normal, not to tip anyone off. They knocked on room 214. No answer. They knocked again, identifying themselves as police. Still nothing. They breached the door. Samir was sitting on the bed, fully dressed, as if he'd been expecting them. On the table beside him, a fake passport with his photo but a different name, USD 15,000 in cash, and a one-way ticket to Singapore scheduled for that afternoon. He didn't resist, didn't run, just stared at the officers with empty eyes. His first words? "I want a lawyer." Not, "I didn't do it." Not, "There's been a mistake." Just cold, calculated self-preservation until the very end. Do you think he felt any remorse, or was this just about not getting caught? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. October 2019. 4 months after Farida's death, the Denpasar District Court was packed to capacity. International media crews lined the hallways. Farida's family sat in the front row, her father, her mother, her younger brother, all dressed in black, faces etched with grief that would never fully heal. Samir entered the courtroom in handcuffs, wearing prison-issued clothing. Gone was the tailored suit-wearing investment consultant. Gone was the charming smile that had won over so many. What remained was a hollow shell of a man who'd gambled everything and lost. The prosecution's case was devastating. They presented the forged insurance policy documents, AED 3.5 million, with Farida's signature that forensic experts confirmed she never signed. They showed the court Samir's dark web communications, his searches for untraceable methods, his meetings with the local facilitator captured on security footage. Banking records revealed the full scope of his embezzlement. AED 2.3 million, stolen from client accounts through falsified investment reports and unauthorized trades. The internal audit documents proved he was cornered, desperate, out of options. Phone triangulation data placed him at the construction site where the exchange happened. The villa's security camera footage showed him leaving alone, returning with the black bag. Forensic evidence from the scene was irrefutable. This was premeditated, calculated, merciless. Samir's defense attorney attempted the temporary insanity angle. "My client was under immense psychological pressure," he argued. "The financial stress, the fear of losing everything, it drove him to a breaking point he couldn't control." The judge wasn't buying it. Neither was anyone else in that courtroom. The planning timeline destroyed any insanity defense. 8 weeks of preparation, insurance policies in April, dark web research in May, villa booking in June. Every single step was deliberate, methodical, conscious. Then came the victim impact statements. Farida's father stood at the podium, his hands trembling as he gripped his prepared remarks. His voice cracked as he spoke. "Samir didn't just take my daughter's life. He destroyed our entire world. Farida was our light, our pride, our future. She trusted him completely, loved him without reservation, and he repaid that love with betrayal and violence. Every morning I wake up and for a split second I forget she's gone. Then reality crashes down again. That pain never stops. It never will." Her mother couldn't speak. She simply wept, supported by family members on either side. Back in Dubai, the community was reeling. Vigils were held at Jumeirah Beach, hundreds gathering with candles and photos of Farida. Social media exploded with tributes, with anger, with disbelief. How could someone they knew, someone they'd celebrated with, be capable of such evil? Media across the Gulf ran the story for weeks. The dark side of luxury, murder in paradise. Dubai couple's fatal Bali trip, when perfection hides a monster. Everyone was asking the same question: how did no one see this coming? March 2021. After 18 months of legal proceedings, appeals, and deliberations, the verdict came down. Guilty of premeditated murder, life imprisonment in an Indonesian prison. Samir's final statement to the court was brief, emotionless. "I accept the court's decision," he said flatly. No apology, no remorse, no acknowledgement of the life he'd stolen. In that courtroom, justice was served. But Farida would never come home. Her family would never hear her laugh again, never celebrate another milestone, never watch her build the future she deserved. The gavel came down. Samir was led away in chains, and somewhere perhaps Farida could finally rest. Farida's story isn't just a tragedy, it's a warning we all need to hear. The signs were there, hidden beneath the surface of their perfect life. Financial abuse doesn't always announce itself loudly. It starts quietly. Unexplained missing money, vague answers about accounts, bounced payments that must be bank errors. When your partner controls all financial decisions and becomes defensive when questioned, pay attention. When joint accounts suddenly empty without explanation, that's not a misunderstanding, it's a red flag. Farida asked questions. She confronted Samir about the missing funds. But like many victims, she wanted to believe his explanations because she loved him. Love shouldn't require you to ignore your instincts. Dubai's lifestyle played its own role in this darkness. The city's relentless competition, the cars, the penthouses, the designer wardrobes, the Instagram-perfect brunches, creates pressure that can break people. When maintaining appearances becomes more important than maintaining honesty, dangerous decisions follow. Samir couldn't face downgrading his lifestyle, couldn't admit failure, couldn't let his carefully constructed image crack. That pride cost Farida everything. Greed and desperation are a lethal combination. Samir wasn't always a killer. He was once just an ambitious young man with dreams. But when those dreams collided with reality, when debts mounted and audits loomed, he made a choice. He chose money over morality. He chose escape over accountability. He chose murder over facing consequences. Anyone, absolutely anyone, can be pushed to darkness when they prioritize the wrong things. In 2022, Farida's family established the Farida Hassan Foundation, dedicated to domestic violence awareness and financial abuse education across the Emirates. They hold workshops, provide resources, and support victims who see warning signs in their own relationships. Her mother speaks at events, sharing their story so others might recognize danger before it's too late. Farida's legacy isn't the tragedy of her death, it's the lives saved by the lessons learned from it. What would you do differently if you noticed these warning signs? Would you trust your instincts even if it meant challenging someone you love? Have you or someone you know experienced financial manipulation in a relationship? Sometimes recognizing it is the first step to safety. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. Farida Hassan deserved a lifetime of happiness. Instead, she got a husband who saw her as a solution to his problems, a payout worth more than her life. This tragedy reminds us that danger doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it wears a wedding ring and says, "I love you," while planning your end. Trust your instincts. Speak up when something feels wrong. Ask the hard questions, even when the answers might hurt. Like, subscribe, and share this story. Awareness saves lives. Your share might protect someone you care about. Next time, we'll explore another case that proves truth is darker than fiction. Stay vigilant. Stay safe. Because sometimes, the person sleeping next to you is the one you should fear the most. Before you go, if you want to learn how to protect yourself from potential danger, then don't forget to download your free ebook titled Safety for Women Over 40, Everyday Habits to Outsmart Criminals by clicking the link in the pinned comment.